Hello, hello. Today we're playing Cat's Cosmic Atlas. And if you notice, I have disappeared. I realized that maybe I would cover the words a bit too much, but I'm actually going to see if I can just make myself move a little bit more over here, and hopefully I don't cover anything. I started this game and I realized I was on my last save. So I have played this before, but we're gonna start over. And this is a very cozy educational game. Aw. We got a star. Okay. Let's head out there. It says South Sky. Okay. I don't remember where it's or if this is the beginning or which direction we're going, so I'm just gonna go for it. The Hare constellation. Arneb. This yellow star exceeds the sun in power more than 13,000 times. It is the largest in this constellation. According to the Greek myths, the god Hermes placed a hare in the sky to celebrate its agility and speed. The Egyptians, on the other hand, believed that this group of stars was the boat of the god Osiris. One of the stars of the constellation, R. Leporis, is a star surrounded by an atmosphere with a high carbon content, which colors the star's light an intense red color. Aw. Oh, that's to, like, save it. Interesting. Okay, let's keep going. The Dove. A distinctive constellation, although it has many dim and pale stars, it commemorates the biblical bird that brought Noah a branch from an olive tree, which heralded the end of the flood. According to Greek myths, it is Jason's pigeon which checked the dangerous strait, where rocks would join together when someone tried to swim through it. A spiral galaxy can be observed in the constellation, and a massive black hole can be seen at its core. Interesting. Okay, before I go down, I know I didn't see this one. River. Equatorial sky constellation with 4 distinctive stars. To the naked eye, almost 100 stars can be seen, which resemble a long ribbon in the sky, hence the association with a river. In Greek mythology, Eridanus flowed through Hades, the subterranean realm of the dead. For the Romans, the constellation represented the Po River, for others the Re, Nile, Tigris, or Euphrates. It has been discovered that there are Jupiter-sized planets in this constellation. The Sea Monster. A vast collection of about 100 stars, although most of them are not very bright. 3 of them form a triangle called the Whale's Tail. Mira. This star changes its brightness. In addition, it moves very fast, leaving behind a luminous tail. Mira means miraculous, because as a variable star, it disappears and appears in the sky every few months. According to Greek myths, it depicts the sea monster Ketos wreaking havoc in the kingdom of Ethiopia. Furnace. It is the brightest star in the constellation. Its name comes out of the Arabic language resembling the word ostrich, a small pale constellation that has not been combined in a pattern for a long time. It is a modern constellation, so there are no myths and legends associated with it. The constellation was named after French chemist Antoine Lavoisier, who studied the combustion process. For many years, it was referred to in its full version as the chemical furnace. The water snake, male water snake. A small pale constellation introduced by Dutch navigators and astronomers. Meaningfully, it is the male counterpart of fellow Hydra. Over the years, it has lost several stars to the constellation Octet. Beta Hydri? The brightest star, Beta Hydri, was a southern polar star 150 BC. The constellation has also been described as a sea serpent, but with no myths or legends associated with it, it was unknown until modern times. Oh, I missed a constellation. I'll go back. For the Maori of New Zealand, the constellation represented an anchor. On the other hand, Australian Aborigines saw in it a stingray racing against two sharks. One of the smallest constellations in the sky, but visible at the brightest point in the Milky Way. Just as the Great Bear used to indicate the direction of the north, the Southern Cross shows the direction of south. This constellation is shown as a patriotic symbol on the national flags of Australia, Brazil, and New Zealand, among others. In Australia, this constellation was called the Foot of the Eagle. The Fly. The brightest star in the constellation, it is a white-blue star classified as a subgiant, a modest constellation that can be found in the Milky Way. Next to the darker area of the Milky Way is an interstellar dust cloud obscuring further stars called the Carbon Sack. The constellation, introduced by Dutch navigators, although renamed the Bee for several centuries, was eventually adopted as the Fly. What's this? Oh no! Why did it take us all the way there? Interesting. A shortcut? The Crow. It is the brightest star in the constellation, comes from Arabic and means right wing of the crow. A small and easily visible constellation, the four brightest stars form a distinctive quadrilateral. In Greek mythology, the crow was punished for trying to fool the god Apollo into staying in the sky forever. According to the myth, the horse cawing of the chicken is a result of the mythical bird's eternal desire. Maiden. On maps, the maiden is depicted with an ear of wheat or a blade of grass. According to Greek myths, it represents the goddess of fertility and harvest, Demeter. The constellation's brightest star is Spica, and its name means ear in Latin. The largest zodiacal constellation, although it can only be seen in its entirety in very dark skies, but the brightest star Spica is clearly visible. Among the most interesting objects in the constellation is the cluster in the Maiden, A huge cluster of galaxies bound together by gravity. Centaurus. Alpha Centauri. It consists of a triple system, 3 stars. According to Greek myths, it commemorates the wisest of the centaurs, the teacher of many heroes, Chiron. A large constellation which in shape faithfully resembles the figure of a centaur, a creature with the body of a horse and the torso of a man. Phoenix. A constellation that was part of another constellation, Eridanus, but was separated from it as a separate one by Dutch navigators. Quite pale but distinct. For the Arabs it was a boat moored at the banks of a star river. The constellation contains many double and star systems, named after a mythical bird that was said to live for several hundred years and be reborn from the ashes after death. Southern Triangle. Atria. It is the brightest star in the constellation and is a bright orange giant. The star's name is an abbreviation for Alpha Tria, the brightest triangle, or Atria. A constellation with a shape close to an equilateral triangle, one of 2 triangles in the sky, not to be confused with the Triangle, a small constellation of the northern sky. The smallest constellation discovered by former Dutch navigators during deep sea expeditions. Crane. Alnair. The constellation's brightest star shines blue, its blue color indicating a higher temperature than the sun. The constellation is with one of the brightest birds in the sky. It is also shown as a heron, stork, or flamingo. The constellation was formed in modern times, and there are no legends or myths associated with it. The constellation was formed from part of the southern fish in modern times. The toucan. Alpha Tucanae. It is the brightest star in the constellation and is an orange supergiant. One of the many constellations learned during oceanic expeditions on the high seas. Explorers who circumnavigated the world came across various unknown natural specimens and served as inspiration for describing the sky. The toucan was one of them. This constellation was named after a tropical bird with a large beak. The Indian. The constellation in the name does not clarify whether it was meant to represent an Indian or a resident of India. Dutch navigators saw in it a resident of Madagascar they came across during their travels. It is one of the modern constellations that represents places, objects, shapes, and many other things. The pale stars of the constellation contained many galaxies. The altar. Although small and faintly visible, it is an easy-to-find constellation that was known to antiquity originally as the table of sacrifice. In Greek mythology, the gods gathered around it to make vows of obedience before going to war with the Titans. For the Hebrews, the significance of the altar was associated with the place where Noah made his sacrifice after surviving the flood. The constellation includes the largest stars ever identified. The wolf. Alpha Lupi. The constellation's brightest name is also sometimes called Kakab, which in Arabic means star left over from the horned bull. A medium-sized constellation described as early as Babylonian times when it was identified with a bloodthirsty beast. According to Greek myths, it was an animal pursued by the centaurs or sacrificed to him. In some images, a centaur pierces the wolf with a spear. the scales, Zubin-Ishkamali, the brightest star of the constellation. Its name comes from Arabic and means northern pincers, a reference to the fact that it once belonged to the constellation Scorpio. In Babylonian times, the stars of this constellation were called Ziba Ana, which means balance of the sky. According to Roman myths, they represent Austria, the goddess of justice, who holds the scales. The serpent bearer. According to Greek myths, it depicts a god of the medical arts, Asclepios, who plucked from a snake a magical herb capable of restoring life to the dead. One of the larger constellations on either side of it are the separated halves of the serpent constellation. The constellation's Latin name means snake keeper. A fragment of the constellation overlaps the ecliptic, due to which some astrologers consider it the 13th zodiacal constellation. The Scorpion. Antares. This brightest star of the constellation can be seen with the naked eye. It glows slightly red, which explains its name, which comes from the Greek phrase similar to Mars. One of the oldest zodiacal constellations. As early as 5,000 years ago, it was spotted by the Sumerians, who called it Gurtab, which means just scorpion. According to the Greek myths, the scorpion killed the famous hunter Orion in a spectacular duel. Zeus decided to place them both in the sky so that the opponents were opposite each other. As the constellation Orion rises, the scorpion disappears behind the horizon. The Southern Fish, Fomalhaut. It is the brightest star in the constellation, used to mark a landmark for sailors and a point dividing the sky into 4 parts assigned to the seasons. The name means fish mouth or mouth of the whale in Arabic. A small constellation considered the mother of the zodiacal Pisces, despite its small size, was depicted as a powerful monster. The history of the constellation dates back to ancient Babylonian times when it was first described as a fish. The Sea Goat. Deneb al-Gedi, the brightest star in the constellation. Its name comes from the Arabic language and means tail of the goat. As imagined by the Greeks, this constellation represents the Lord, a horned idol who guards shepherds and their flock. One of the smallest zodiacal constellations, these pale stars were described by the Sumerians and Chaldeans as a chimera, a creature with the head of a goat and a fishtail. The constellation lies in the part of the sky called the sea, as it houses quite a few watery constellations. The Water Bearer. Sadal Su. It is the brightest star in the constellation and comes from Arabic and means happiest. Ancient Egyptians identified the water bearer with the gods of the Nile and believed that it was this constellation that started the annual overflow of the river for crops. One of the oldest known zodiacal constellations. Oh, it's the moon? Is this? Okay, let's see then. Is this... what's this? The North Sky. So, different constellations. What is that? Oh, it was making the constellations. I see, I see. The Archer. Caus Australis, the brightest star of the constellation. Its name is made up of the Arabic segment Arc and the Latin Southern. One of the 12 zodiacal constellations which depicts a centaur using a bow and arrow. The 8 brightest stars in this constellation are called the Teapot. Its bow hooks into the Milky Way, which looks as if it's flowing out of it. Although the Archer in many images holds a topped arc, the constellation Eros appears alone on star maps. Although the Archer in many images holds a topped bow, the constellation Eros appears alone on star maps. Oh, they repeated that. Oh, you know what? I bet you this is that. I don't remember if I got this part of the game on a DLC or if it was an update, but I remember more was added to it, and I have a feeling it's this part. But I'm not exactly sure. Don't quote me. It's been such a long time since I've played this game. Antares. This brightest star of the constellation can be seen with the naked eye. It glows slightly red, which claims its name, which comes with... Oh, we've said that, right? Yeah. We found that. What about this one? Oh yeah, we found the scales. Has this just taken us around, maybe? Yes. Right? Maybe not. Let's figure it out. Oh no, this is new. Snakehead. Unu Kalhai. The brightest star of the constellation, its name consists of the Arabic segment Arc and the Latin Noon, the brightest star of the constellation. Its name in Arabic means neck of the snake. This constellation is the only one that consists of 2 parts. The serpent's head is on the western side of the Serpent Bearer constellation, and the serpent's tail is on the eastern side. In ancient Greece, these stars were believed to form a single constellation representing a man holding a reptile in his hands. People saw them as Asclepios, the god of the art of medicine, who carried a powerful serpent while gathering herbs. Well, I wonder what this constellation is. Oh, another part of the Serpent Bear? Oh no, we've gotten the Serpent Bear. Yes, yes. Snaketail. Yep. We've read that one. Eagle. Altair. It is the brightest star in the constellation, comes from Arabic and means eagle or flying eagle. There are many myths connected with this constellation. According to the Greeks, Hera transformed a suffering widower into an eagle to soothe the suffering. She placed it in the sky, while in another myth it was another disguise of Zeus. In the most famous one, Zeus turned himself into an eagle to kidnap the most beautiful young man, Ganymede, to Olympus. Easily spotted constellation because of one of the brightest stars in the sky, Altair. Oh yeah, we've seen the sea goat. Okay. We've seen the water bear. Ooh, this is a new one. Dolphin. Ra-Taneb, the brightest star in the constellation. It is a double star made of two subgiants. Ra-Taneb is the name of the astronomer who smuggled the name of the star into the sky. His name was Nicholas Benatar. He named another star similarly, but after his first name, Swalloson. According to Greek myths, the dolphins symbolize helpfulness and generosity, as they rescued selflessly suffering people. Dolphins were also described as messengers of the god of the seas, Poseidon. Small and pale but clear constellation arranged in a dolphin leaping out of the water. Swan. Deneb is a supergiant, the brightest star in the constellation. People imagined it to be located on the swan's tail. It is one of the most distant stars perfectly visible to the naked eye, 2,600 light-years away. One of the brightest constellations whose stars are arranged in the sign of the cross within the Milky Way. The body and outline of the swan's wings is called the Northern Cross. The swan plays an important role in Greek myths. The constellation in his honor commemorates the birth of Helen. The swan was transformed into Zeus wanting to win the beautiful Leda. The Lyre. A constellation whose stars are arranged in a shape resembling a musical instrument. This constellation represents the lyre, called lute, of the most famous mythological Greek singer Orpheus, which he received from Apollo. The lyre is a stringed instrument popular in ancient Greece. The one in the sky was supposedly built by the god Hermes from an old turtle shell. Its music enchanted almost all living creatures. Hercules. Cornephoros. It is the brightest star in the constellation, its name coming from the Greek word meaning man wielding a mace. One of the major constellations of the northern sky, which commemorates the Greek hero Heracles, son of Zeus. Hercules is the Latin equivalent of his name. The Babylonians believed that this constellation represented Gilgamesh, the demigod who defeated the force of chaos at the beginning of creation. The Phoenicians saw Melkart, the god of the ocean, in these stars. The Northern Crown. The brightest of the constellation star, Alphecca. Its name means broken ring in Arabic. According to Greek myths, it was a golden tiara, a wedding gift made by Hephaestus? Oh my gosh, don't know how to pronounce it. The god of fire and smiths, for the queen princess Adriana and the god Dionysus. In fact, however, the constellation may commemorate any of the mythological crowns. It is a small constellation whose stars are arranged in a characteristic arc, diadem, or crown. Oh, we read about the maiden. Such a big constellation. Whoa, who's that? The Great Bear. The Great Bear is characterized by a long tail made up of the brightest stars, which is a bit surprising since bear tails are usually very short. Many people think that this constellation consists of 7 stars, but they are only a part of it. However, they form an easy-to-find system of the Great Bear, also known as the Big Dipper. 2 bright stars, Dup and Meroc, These stars point to the polar star that determines the direction of north. Dragon. Al-Tanin, the brightest star of the constellation. Its name means dragon, or snake in Arabic. The constellation has stretched around the Little Bear, the king and Hercules, and extends all the way to the Great Bear. In the dragon is the star Thuban, which in ancient Egypt was a polar star pointing north. According to Greek myths, the dragon was a mythical beast that Heracles killed during one of his 12 labors. On some maps, the hero can be seen resting his left leg against the head of this monster. Little Bear. Polar star Polaris, the brightest star in the constellation, which is located at the tip of the Little Bear's tail. The word Polaris means close to the pole. In the present day, Polaris marks the north direction. This constellation, also called the Little Bear, within it is the pole star, or Polaris, which is of great importance in astronavigation. According to Greek myths, the great and little bears are mother and son. Since they cannot wet their furs, they are visible above the horizon all the time. The king. According to Greek myths, Cepheus is the king of Ethiopia, husband of Cassiopeia, and father of Andromeda. To save the kingdom, he changed his daughter to a rock to sacrifice her. A constellation of medium brightness, located at the edge of the Milky Way, it abounds in double and variable stars. The constellation of the king is home to some of the largest black holes. Oh no, the typos. That always throws me off. The Winged Horse. It is a largely and highly visible constellation. Its 4 stars form a distinctive quadrilateral called the Great Square of Pegasus. Enif, the brightest star of the constellation, its name comes from Arabic and means nose. Pegasus is a winged horse from Greek mythology. His mother was Medusa, who had snakes instead of hair, while his father was a sea god, Poseidon. According to the myths, Pegasus was Perseus' steed and also delivered lightning to Zeus. That I did not know. Fishes. Eta Piscium. It is the brightest star in the constellation. It shines 316 times brighter than the sun. Despite being a large zodiacal constellation, it is one of the more difficult to find. According to the Greeks, it represents 2 fish, Aphrodite and her son Eros. For the ancient Egyptians, on the other hand, these stars are the children of the fish that saved the goddess Isis from drowning. The Chained Maiden. The Andromeda Galaxy is one of the farthest places from the Earth that can be seen with the naked eye. Andromeda resembles a line of 3 stars. Above the central one, a spot is visible to the naked eye, which is a galaxy. This large and distinct constellation was noted by the ancient Greeks. It bears the name of a beautiful princess who barely avoided being devoured by the sea monster Ketos. She was rescued from her precipitation by Perseus. Oh, we read about the triangle. The Seated Queen. Shatter? The brightest star of the constellation. The word comes from Arabic and means breast. one of the brightest constellations in the sky. It is easy to recognize because it resembles a W. In Greek mythology, Cassiopeia, maybe that's how you pronounce it, I'm not sure, was a queen and wife of King Cepheus. She often bragged about her beauty, which is why she was said to be vain. Regulus, the brightest star in the constellation, which represents the heart of a lion and was named by Nicholas Copernicus. One of the 12 zodiacal constellations, clear to observe, in which the stars are arranged in the shape of an animal. It is a source of the Leonids, a swarm of meteorites. According to Greek myths, this constellation represents the Nemean lion, which Heracles killed and then made clothes out of its skin. The lion's skin could not be pierced by arrows. Heracles strangled the beast and used the skin as a shield. Wrong way. Hydra. Alphard, the brightest star of the constellation illuminating an empty area of the sky. The largest constellation, the name comes from the mythical deadly creature that Heracles fought. Although Hydra had 9 regrowing heads, only one of them, the last one, is visible in the sky. Some of the stars of the Hydra tail have been described as Felis, meaning cat. The constellation of the cat was invented in the 19th century and has disappeared until our time. Twins. According to Greek myths, they are the twins of King Leda, who out of love for Phoebe and Hilaria, got involved in a fight with Midas and Lynceus. One of the brothers died, and the other in despair asked Zeus for immortality for him. The latter placed them both in the sky. The constellation of the twins is a distinctive zodiacal constellation in which the 2 brightest stars stand out, Castor and Pollux. A swarm of meteors, the Geminids, can be observed near Castor in December. Bull. According to Greek myths, it was a disguise of the god Zeus, representing a white bull with golden horns. Meanwhile, the Haiads are the daughters of the Titan Atlas, who carried the world on his shoulders, and the half-sisters of the Pleiades. A zodiacal constellation of up to 125 stars, 2 distinctive star clusters, the Pleiades and the Hyades, I'm probably pronouncing all these names wrong, I apologize, are visible to the naked eye in the constellation of Taurus. It has been discovered that there are Jupiter-sized planets in this constellation. I've never heard of the word constellation, and because of the typos, I don't know if it's supposed to be constellation or constellation, or that's just a whole new word that I just learned. Merfak, the brightest star of the constellation. Its name comes from the Arabic language and means elbow. The constellation named after Perseus, who according to myth saved Andromeda and defeated Medusa and the sea monster Ketos, which today is the constellation of the Whale. Associated with constellation is a swarm of meteors called the Perseids, which can be observed for several hours each year. The meteor shower occurs between July 23rd and August 22nd. Interesting. Ram. Hamal, the brightest star. The word means ram's head in Arabic. one of the 12 zodiacal constellations, which has been depicted as a winged golden ram since ancient times. In the 17th century, an additional constellation called the bee, the wasp, or the fly was separated from its several stars, but it has not survived in this form to the present day. Aries Point. When the sun passes this point, astronomical spring begins in the northern hemisphere. Currently, the point of Aries is moving towards a neighboring constellation of fishes. That one actually does kind of look like a whale. Oh, the sea monster. Mira. This star changes its brightness. In addition, it moves very fast, leaving behind a luminous tail. Mira means miraculous. Oh wait, I think we did read this one. Well, I'll finish it. Because it's a variable star, it disappears and appears in the sky every few months. A vast constellation of about 100 stars, although most of them are not very bright. 3 of them form a triangle called the whale's tail. Yes, I remember this. Yep. I don't know why they repeat so many on both sides. I wish they hadn't. I'm disappointed in that. A lot of repeats. Whoa, this is a big constellation. Ah, this is the river. Yes. Well, no clue what this is gonna be. Hunter. Betelgeuse? 3 stars aligned in a line form Orion's belt. The brightest of them is perfectly visible to the naked eye, an example of one of the largest stars in space. These 7 stars form the silhouette of the hunter. 3 are the belt, 2 are the arms, and 2 are the legs. According to the Greeks, they represent Orion, the hunter, who was accompanied on his hunting trips by the great dog. The Syrians saw in them a giant, and the Egyptians saw the soul of the god Osiris. In addition to stars, a hunter also contains very bright nebulae. The Great Nebula is visible to the naked eye. This is the great dog. Sirius. It is the brightest star of this constellation in the night sky, which is twice the size of the sun. According to it, the ancient Egyptians set their calendar. The constellation is easily recognized because of Sirius, one of the closest stars. The hare escapes from under the feet of the hunter Orion, who along with the great dog bites the bull. Lesser dog. Oh, what do you mean lesser? Portion. It is the brightest star in the constellation. Although it doesn't really shine as brightly as Sirius, it is a bright spot in our sky because it is close to the solar system, a small constellation located next to the great dog. The ancient Greeks believed it as one of the dogs of the hunter giant Orion. Wow. Alright, what's this here? Solar system. Ooh. Huh. Earth. The planet's name comes from Earth, ground, and is at least 1,000 years old. It's the same meaning in various languages. Oh, this is new to me. The planet is covered with more than 70% water. However, most of the water is not drinking water. Air is composed of 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 1% other components, making an ideal mix for breathing and living. Many space probes observe oceans, atmosphere, glaciers, rock masses from orbit. The atmosphere protects the Earth from meteoroids, which usually disintegrate and burn up on contact. Right? Do I get to move to the next one? How to move. Z, R, and L. Okay. Oh, I see. Moon, Earth. The moon has a hard, rocky surface covered with dust, rock fragments, and craters formed by the fall of meteoroids and comets. The moon is a part of the Earth detached after an impact. According to scientists, the moon was formed long ago when the Earth collided with an object the size of Mars. The name moon has been used since the dawn of time. Unlike the satellites of other planets, ours is written with a capital letter. Many languages have other beautiful names for our moon, such as Luna in Italian, Latin, and Spanish, Lune in French, Monde in German, and Selene in Greek. Earth's moon is the only place in space where humans have landed. Between 1969 and 1972, the United States managed to send 6 Apollo missions that ended with a landing. In addition, many unmanned probes were successfully sent. Moon dust, known as regolith, was created by meteoroids breaking up moon rocks over billions of years. Scientists studying the dust in Earth's laboratory says it smells like gunpowder. On to the next. Whoa. Mercury. I don't know if I'm going around in order, but I'll go with what I can find. The name comes from the Roman god of trade and commerce. Mercury's thin residual atmosphere consists mainly of oxygen, sodium, hydrogen, and potassium. Life on the planet is unlikely due to solar radiation and extreme temperatures. In size, it is not much larger than Earth's moon. It is the smallest planet in the solar system and orbits in the closest orbit to the Sun. The shape of the orbit resembles an ellipse. As a result, there are regions there where double sunrises and sunsets can be observed. The Sun. The Sun is the star that powers our solar system. It formed from a nebula of dust and gas about 4.5 billion years ago and is now a giant ball of gas, a yellow dwarf. Bright flashes known as solar flares affect life on Earth. They can cause communications with satellites to break down or damage them. The Sun's surface has a temperature of about 5,500 Celsius, but its outer atmosphere, called the corona, is millions of degrees. It is not known why it is so hot. The Sun's energy is created in its nucleus, where nuclear fusion converts hydrogen into helium, releasing huge amounts of energy. The part of the Sun that we see from Earth, the part we call the surface, is the photosphere. The Sun does not actually have a solid surface because it is a ball of plasma. Venus. The name comes from the Roman goddess of love. Although Venus is called Earth's twin because of its size, the planets are radically different. Venus rotates in the opposite direction of the Earth, which makes the Sun rise in the west and set in the east. The surface of Venus is the hottest in the solar system. The planet has a crushing pressure. It is more than 90 times greater than Earth's, similar to that which occurs a few kilometers deep in our ocean. In 1962, Venus became the first planet to be studied by a space probe, NASA's Mariner 2, which flew within 35,000 kilometers and measured the surface temperature, giving a result of more than 400 degrees Celsius. Since then, several probes have landed many times, but worked for a short time due to conditions. Oh, here we go. That helps. Have you been to Mars? Don't think so. The name comes from the Roman god of war. Mars is the best explored planet and the only one which rovers have been able to roam the alien landscape. To date, the surface of Mars is not habitable or life-supporting, but current missions are steadily working on this. The planet resembles a cold desert. Like Earth, it has ice caps, extinct volcanoes, canyons, and weathering. Mars' thin atmosphere consists mainly of carbon dioxide, argon, nitrogen, and a small amount of oxygen and water vapor. The shape of the orbit resembles an ellipse. As a result, there are regions there where double sunrises and sunsets can be observed. Okay, where else? Okay, down there. Asteroid belt. Otherwise known as planetoids, they are fragments of rock that come from the early solar system that did not manage to form into planets. They are found in the vast region between Mars and Jupiter. Saturn. The name comes from the father god Jupiter. The wind rushes through Saturn's atmospheres, creating a large hexagonal storm that scientists can't quite explain. The planet is known for its rings from about 140,000 kilometers from the planet's center. They can be seen with a telescope from Earth. The rings consist of ice particles ranging in size from small pollen to the size of buildings. Saturn has 53 known moons, with an additional 29 moons awaiting confirmation of their discovery, or a total of 82 moons. Saturn's moons. Titan is the largest of Saturn's 82 moons, an icy moon with an ice surface of rock-hard water. But Titan is also likely to have an ocean of liquid water beneath its surface. It is the only moon in the solar system known to have a substantial atmosphere, which consists mainly of nitrogen, like Earth. Rhea is Saturn's second largest moon. Rhea has a thin atmosphere, called the exosphere, and is the first place where spacecraft have found traces of oxygen in the atmosphere beyond Earth. Ooh, I want to check over there. Oh no. Let's go back. What is this over here? Whoa. Oh, I fear it's going to take us somewhere else, so maybe not. These are Neptune's moons. Triton, the largest of Neptune's moons, is the only large moon in our solar system that orbits in a direction opposite to its planet's rotation. It may be captured Kuiper Belt object. Nereid is one of Neptune's 14 moons. It is the most distant moon from the planet in our solar system, as it takes 360 days to complete a full orbit. This strange orbit suggests that Nereid may have been a captured asteroid or Kuiper Belt object, or that it was heavily disturbed during the capture of Neptune's largest moon, Triton. Uranus. The name comes from the Greek god of the sky. Uranus is the only planet to rotate on its side at a 90-degree angle to its orbit. This is probably due to a collision at the beginning of the formation of the solar system. Like Venus, it rotates in a retrograde motion. Uranus is a gas giant composed mainly of hydrogen, helium, and methane. Inside is a small, rocky nucleus. Methane gives Uranus its turquoise color. Perhaps diamond crystals are formed in the atmosphere. The planet has 27 moons and faint rings that are narrow and dark on the inside, and colorful and brightly colored on the outside. Make sure I didn't miss anything. I think I missed Neptune over here. Wrong button. Where? Is this Neptune? Neptune. The name comes from the Roman god of the seas. The planet has only been seen up close by the Voyager 2 space probe in 1989. Strong storms and winds on its surface can be observed from Earth with powerful telescopes. Neptune is blue due to the presence of methane, just like Uranus. The planet is cold, very windy, and dark. It is located 30 times farther from the sun than Earth. It experiences the strongest winds in the solar system. It has 14 moons and rings that are faintly visible. Alright, let me go up. Don't think we've been in Jupiter yet. The name comes from the Roman father of the gods. The planet is made mostly of helium and hydrogen. The temperature and pressure inside turn the gas into a liquid, so Jupiter does not have a hard surface, but there can be amazing weather phenomena. Jupiter's Great Red Spot is a cyclone that has been raging for more than 400 years. The Voyager space probe 1979 first observed Jupiter's rings, which are made up of fine dust. Jupiter has 79 moons. The largest of these are Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. Right, let's keep on going. Jupiter's moons. The moon Io is the most volcanically active world in the solar system. Io even has lakes of molten silicate lava on its surface. Europa's moons is mostly covered with ice and crisscrossed with cracks. Europa rotates once around its axis and makes one orbit of Jupiter every 3.5 Earth days, so the same side of Europa always faces Jupiter. The moon Callisto is densely covered with craters of ice and rock. There is evidence of a subsurface ocean on Callisto, which puts the moon along with Europa and Ganymede on the list of possible places where life could exist beyond Earth. The moon Ganymede is the largest moon of the 79 moons of Jupiter and our solar system. The Galileo probe discovered that Ganymede has its own magnetosphere, a region of charged particles that surround many planets but has never before been found around a moon. Okay, let's keep on going. See if there's anything else. There's the asteroid belt. Oh, nope. Go down. Maybe we have seen everything. Let's go into the black hole then. See where that takes us. We're speeding up a little. Okay. Too far. Let's go here. Don't know where this is going to take us, but we're about to find out. Whoa. Did it just take us to like another area of the map? Nope. Just a black hole. That's funny. Alright, I guess we're finished here. dashboard. Ooh. Oh, I'm still missing some. Per, tea time, full moons, and solar eclipse. Oh, a dictionary. Nice. What I needed was an explanation on how to pronounce things. Anyways, this game was super cute. I hope you enjoy it. It was very educational, very informative, and I love the illustrations and the art. Aw, went to sleep. Okay, well, I will see you next time. I try to post every Sunday, and if you like cozy videos like this, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for being here. Bye!